Hello everyone! Today we are going to talk about the Kung Fu Panda cartoon series. Have a comfortable seat because we are starting. The main character is a young Panda Po, the adopted, although he does not know it, son of a goose noodle maker Ping, who is a big fan of Kung Fu and especially of the team of the most famous masters, the Furious Five, represented by masters Tigress, Monkey, Crane, Mantis, and Viper. Po dreams of joining them someday, but he doesn't believe that his dream will ever come true. Can you imagine a fat and clumsy panda being able to master martial arts, especially at the level of the greatest masters? Meanwhile, the five and their mentor, Master Shifu, have a big problem. Shifu's mentor, the wise master Oogway, foresees the escape from prison and the return to the Valley of Peace of a dangerous villain, Shifu's former apprentice, the snow leopard Tai Lung. He was Shifu's best and favorite pupil, and therefore hoped to obtain a legendary artifact, the Dragon Scroll, which, according to legend, can give immeasurable power to its owner. Oogway, seeing the darkness in Tai Lung's heart, refused to give him the scroll, so he became desperate and furious, ravaged the valley, and tried to take the scroll by force. Shifu was unable to fight his former apprentice. Oogway did. Since then, Tai Lung had been imprisoned in a specially built dungeon, and the people of the Valley of Peace trembled at the mere mention of his world. And Tai Lung's return did not bode well for the valley as a whole, nor for the masters living in the Jade Palace in particular. Oogway saw a way out of the problem in electing a true dragon warrior worthy of receiving the scroll and stopping Tai Lung. It was decided to organize a competition of masters from the Unstoppable Five. The most worthy of them was to receive the scroll. When the announcement of the upcoming election of the legendary dragon warrior was made, Po decided to enter the competition at all costs. But the gates to the Jade Palace closed right in front of the panda's nose, and he had to make a series of unsuccessful attempts to get in by stealth. In the end, it came down to the most unbelievable and absurd idea. Po decided to fly into the Jade Palace using firecrackers tied to a chair. When this happened, Po had to ridiculously drive his face on the wall, fly to a great height, and fall right in the middle of the masters. And to the great surprise of both Po and everyone present, it is he, a panda who has accidentally and ridiculously appeared in the palace, who is proclaimed Dragon Warrior by Master Oogway. Shocked and disgruntled, Master Shifu refuses to accept his mentor's choice and decides to get rid of the panda. The Furious Five are also dissatisfied. With the exception of Viper, they openly despise the newcomer. Tigress especially hates Po. Shifu and the Furious Five try to get rid of the newcomer in every possible way, and in time the panda himself has come to believe in his own worthlessness. However, everything changes when Master Oogway's vision comes true and Tai Lung escapes from prison. The prophecy came true precisely because Shifu tried to prevent it from coming true by sending Zeng the goose as a messenger to the prison where Tai Lung was being held. The head of the prison guards emphatically stated that there was nothing to fear, and clapped Zeng on the shoulder during the conversation. As a result, a feather fell out of Zeng's hand, and slowly but surely flew down to the shackled Tai Lung, who was able to use it to break free and then defeated the guards in an ensuing fight. Zeng Tai Lung is spared to deliver the news to Shifu. The true dragon warrior is going home. A frightened Shifu turns to Master Oogway for help, but the latter remarks, "My time has come," during the conversation, and leaves the world of the living, dissolving into petals. Lastly, he gives Shifu an admonition. To win, he must believe in his apprentice. Shifu, in tears, promises his mentor that he will believe. He then decides to change his attitude towards Po. After taking a closer look, he realizes that the panda has potential. He just needs to find a different approach to him than he did to Five. The right incentive turns out to be food. By finding this incentive, Master Shifu is able to train Po, and after much training, the panda finally demonstrates a high level of martial art. Meanwhile, Tigress decided to go out on her own to face Tai Lung and give him a fight, eager to do what she had been trained to do for years. The other members of the Unstoppable Five decided to lend their support and went after her. However, the encounter with the villain ended in Tai Lung's decisive victory. Not only were the five defeated, but the masters were immobilized, and one could not even tell at a glance whether they were dead or alive. Tai Lung had spared only Crane, with the intention that he would use his wings to return and carry his paralyzed comrades, thus demonstrating the strength and ferocity of the snow leopard. Po is seriously frightened, but Shifu is confident of victory. The master decides that the time has come to make Panda a dragon warrior and hands him the scroll. However, when Po opens the dragon scroll, he suddenly discovers that the scroll is pristine, with not a single word written on it. Shifu is perplexed, and Po is completely depressed. For him, this is just proof of the pointlessness of all his training and his worthlessness. Master Shifu orders to evacuate the inhabitants of the Valley of Peace, and himself decides to stay in the Jade Palace to fight Tai Lung. Everyone realizes that the villain will hardly let his former teacher live, but Shifu sees this as a way to atone for his mistake against Tai Lung. The Furious Five, led by Tigress, carry out the evacuation. Po, deeply disappointed that he has failed at Kung Fu, returns to his father's house. Seeing how depressed his adopted son is, Mr. Ping decides to support Po by telling him about the main secret of his noodle shop, the secret ingredient of the secret ingredient soup. Much to Po's surprise, it turned out that there was no secret ingredient. To create a particularly delicious soup, you just had to believe that it was special. After these words from Mr. Ping, Po realized that the significance of the blank scroll was the need to believe in oneself, and decided to return to the Jade Palace and give Tai Lung a fight after all. Meanwhile, Master Shifu meets his longtime apprentice on the palace doorstep. A fight ensues between the apprentice and the master. Tai Lung accuses Shifu of weakness, as he had given him the confidence to become a dragon warrior. But when Oogway refused Tai Lung, Shifu did nothing to obey his master. Severely wounded, Master Shifu confesses that he was blinded by his intense love for and pride in his child, and the master failed to see what Tai Lung was really becoming. Shifu apologizes. Tai Lung is touched by his words for a moment, but soon his heart hardens again, and he demands the scroll again. When he notices that the scroll is missing, Tai Lung is ready to kill his master when Po appears. Panda declares himself the dragon warrior, which makes Tai Lung laugh. Po then demonstrates that he has the dragon scroll. Tai Lung attacks Po, but he is not so simple. The scroll changes hands several times, but in the end, the villain has it. Tai Lung is already triumphant, but then he discovers to his horror that the scroll is empty. Po explains the significance of this emptiness, and kindly gives Tai Lung a chance to redeem himself, but he becomes bitter and attacks the panda again. The dragon warrior deflects all his attacks and severely cripples Tai Lung, who refuses to admit defeat, and Po uses a unique technique, the Wuxi finger grab, to send him straight to the spirit world. The people of the valley begin to praise their savior, and the Furious Five, including Tigress, solemnly recognize Po as a master. Po remembers Shifu and rushes to the palace. He informs the wounded master of his victory over Tai Lung. Shifu is finally convinced that Po is the dragon warrior, for he has brought peace to the valley and to the master's soul, just as Oogway had foretold. After this, the master falls silent. Po pleads with him not to die, but Shifu abruptly cuts off his apprentice's lamentations and says that he is not dying, but has found inner peace. Po decides to meditate with the master and then offers to eat a dumpling each. Shifu agrees. This concludes the first movie. The second chapter focuses on Po's confrontation with a new, even more dangerous villain, the White Peacock Lord Shen. The Peacock dynasty that ruled the city of gunmen once brought prosperity to their hometown and invented fireworks. But the heir to the throne, the young Lord Shen, saw the destructive potential of pyrotechnics and decided to use them to create a wonder weapon, a cannon that would help him conquer China. Their son's worried parents turned to the prophetess, a wise goat capable of foreseeing the future. She predicted that if Shen continued on the path of darkness, he would one day be defeated by a black and white warrior. That is a panda. Shen decided to change his fate, and so he organized an extermination of pandas, deciding in advance to destroy all those who could stop him. Po's home village was also destroyed. His mother managed to send to safety before her death under the guise of a parcel of radishes that came to Mr. Ping. Shen's parents were horrified by their son's crime and banished him from the town. Shen harbored a grudge and vowed to return and take revenge, bringing all of China to its knees before him. 20 years have passed since then. Po, unaware of his tragic past, lives happily in the Valley of Peace, guarding it with the Unseelie Five. Master Shifu gives his apprentice a new lesson in finding inner peace, allowing him to accomplish what seems unbelievable. Shifu advises Po to find this inner peace. Meanwhile, Lord Shen continues to work on his miracle weapon. The villain sends his wolf fighters to sack the musician's village. Po and the Furious Five are sent to save the village. At first, the fight goes well for the heroes, but at the last moment, Po had a moment of weakness, because of which the wolves managed to get away with the loot. Po's stupor was provoked by the symbol of Lord Shen's army on the uniform of the right hand of the overbearing peacock General Wolf. The symbol awakened in him subconscious memories of his mother and events of the distant past. Po turns to his foster father with questions. Mr. Ping finally admits that he has adopted Po and tells us the circumstances under which it happened. He received a package containing a little hungry panda instead of the expected radish. Ping decided to raise the baby as his own son. After Ping's story, Po is left with many questions, the main one being, who am I? After melting down the cannon, Lord Shen returns to Gongmen. The city, after the demise of the Peacock dynasty, Shen's parents couldn't stand their son's exile and died when they had to, is ruled by a council of kung fu masters led by Master Rhino. Shen claims to have a weapon that will tear you to pieces and thus provokes the masters into a fight. Peacock loses the fight, but later opens a box with a ready-made gun and kills Master Rhino with a shot. When news of the legendary kung fu master's death reaches the Jade Palace, Shifu is seriously worried, realizes the danger posed by Shen, and so sends Po and the Unstoppable Five to save China and kung fu itself. The Dragon Warrior's initial enthusiasm is quickly replaced by the question, how can kung fu defeat what kung fu defeats? To which Shifu replies that Po can do that too if he finds inner peace. Mr. Ping is very worried about Po, realizing that he may not return from this quest, and asks his adopted son not to leave, but he can't do that. It's his duty as a dragon warrior. During the hike, Po continues to be tormented by thoughts about the reasons why his parents abandoned him. The panda is tormented by the hypothesis that his parents simply didn't like him, and therefore abandoned him. Waking up after a nightmare dream, Po tries hard to find inner peace, but to no avail. Tigress catches him in the act. She has a heart-to-heart talk with him, later joined by the rest of the five. Soon the heroes arrive in the city of gunmen. Po and the Indomitable Five witness the terror of Shen's army against the people of the city. Seeing one of the wolves demanding a defenseless sheep to boil rice for him, threatening to kill him otherwise, the heroes, who were hiding in a dragon costume, knock the villain out. The grateful sheep tells the rescuers that two of the Council of Masters, Masters Bull and Croc, are still alive and imprisoned in Gunmen Prison. Dragon Warrior and the Furious Five find the imprisoned masters, but they are not at all eager to join the fight against Shen, because if they do, Shen will destroy the city, and the Kung Fu Masters will be stopped by a miracle weapon. In prison, Po and Five are caught up in a chase. A confrontation between Po and General Wolf ensues, bringing the heroes into the grounds of Shen's palace, surrounded by enemy troops. Unable to resist, Po declares surrender, actually hoping to outsmart his enemies. Before this, Shen, satisfied with his conquest of power in Gunmen, asks the prophetess to look into his future again. Her prophecy has not changed. The peacock will be defeated by the black and white warrior. Just then, a terrified General Wolf comes running to his lord to report his encounter with the panda, which infuriates Shen. When the arrested Po is led to Shen, Lord Shen unwittingly shows serious fear, and the Veschunia hopes that Po will be the panda that will stop the evil peacock. Shen and Velchunia were sure that Po had come to avenge his family, but to their surprise, it turns out that he knows nothing of his tragic past or of Shen's role in his fate. Shen tries to kill Po and the Furious Five with a cannon shot, but his plan is foiled thanks to Master Mantis, who, thanks to Po's cunning, escapes imprisonment in a cage designed especially for him. He was replaced by a statue of Mantis. The children's figures of the fives that Po had been playing with for a long time finally came in handy. Po and Fiver are freed, a battle ensues, in which luck favors the heroes, the miracle weapon is destroyed, and Po has already cornered Shen, having a chance to end the whole confrontation with his victory. However, the panda is again overcome by a momentary weakness. When the peacock opened its tail, Po again saw the symbol of the red eye, which awakened the same memories in him, and this time Lord Shen appeared in them. A shocked Po says, "You were there." To which Shen replies, confirming his thoughts, "Yes, I was there," and flies out of the palace. This turns out to be the turning point in the battle. Shen turns out to have many other guns, which he fires at the palace. Only thanks to Tigris's skillful actions do the heroes survive and get from the destroyed palace to the same gunman prison, where Masters Bull and Croc greet them with the question, "Well, what have you done? It's chaos in the city now." The Furious Five express their displeasure to Po for missing Shen. Panda tries to justify himself, first by saying it was a ruse to understand Shen's plan better, then by saying that Shen caught him off guard. Fiver is not satisfied with these explanations. Tigris demands that Po tell the truth. When Po shrugs it off, Tigris tells him to stay in the shelter of the prison. It comes to a brief scuffle between Po and Tigris, which the panda loses. Po says it's very important for him to meet Shen face to face, and finally admits why he was there. He knows what happened back then, where I came from, who I am. Tigris is touched by his words, hugs Po, and states that she understands his feelings well, but does not want her friend to be killed. After this, Fiver leaves. Lord Shen, confident of his victory, orders the conquest of China, proclaiming the Year of the Peacock. The prophetess rebukes Shen for destroying his own hometown and tries to persuade him to stop his atrocities. Shen asks the reason why he should do so, to which the prophetess replies, "So that your parents may rest in peace." The peacock says with excitement in his voice that his parents hated him, to which the wise goat replies that they loved him, and loved him so much that they died after they had to banish their son. Shen is not particularly moved by this. He replies, "The dead live in the past, and I must strive for the future." Shen then does perhaps his only good deed in the entire cartoon. He lets the Grand Mistress go. The Furious Five come to the smelting plant of Shen's army and see that the cannons are being prepared for a conquest. The craftsmen decide to blow up the smelter to provide this march. Meanwhile, Po, against Tigris's will, still can't stand it and sneaks into the factory on his own, independent of Fiver, where he meets Shen. The Dragon Warrior demands the evil peacock to tell about that night. A duel ensues, in which the hero seemingly corners the villain. Once free, Lord Shen declares that Po's parents supposedly disliked him and therefore abandoned him, after which, having outsmarted Po, he fires a cannon at him, and this time, the Dragon Warrior fails to escape the cannonball. Po loses consciousness and is thrown into the river, and the Indomitable Five are captured. The meditating Master Shifu becomes aware of the incident. Po is rescued by the sorceress, who lifts the panda out of the river and gives him treatment. Po finds himself in the place where his home village, burned down by Shen, used to be. The sorceress tells him all that has happened, her prophecy and Lord Shen's genocide of the pandas, and Po finally realizes the role the overbearing peacock has played in his fate, and understands what has happened to his parents. The sorceress also explains to Po that although there was tragedy at the beginning of his life, the important thing is not that, but that his subsequent life has been quite happy. Because of this, Po finally finds inner peace. The hero then returns to fight his nemesis. Lord Shen prepares to set sail at the head of a fleet headed for the conquest of China. Before leaving, he tells the chained masters of the Furious Five that he will soon kill them in front of all of China. The masters prepare to die and remember Po, who is thought to be dead. Tigris especially mourns for him. Shen, once again demonstrating that he will stop at nothing to conquer China, fires a cannon at a bridge with civilians, for which Tigris calls Shen a coward. Po appears on the tallest building and declares that it is time to put an end to Shen's terror and demands the release of the five. In fact, due to the distance, no one can make out his speech. Po throws his hat towards the ships, but it flies past, whereupon the peacock orders him to aim. This was actually a cunning plan by Po, who gradually ran from place to place, confusing the gunmen, and then got into the thick of the wolves, whereupon they panic. "Hold your fire!" If a shot is fired, their own comrades will die. Po frees Fiver, and then engages in a fight to keep Shen from leaving the bay. Masters Bull and Croc unexpectedly join the fight. An overjoyed Po asks why they have changed their minds, to which Bull replies, "Your friend turned out to be very convincing." That friend turns out to be Master Shifu, who also joins the battle. The battle goes well for the heroes. A number of ships in Shen's fleet are out of commission, and Po gradually approaches the peacock himself. Lord Shen demands that General Wolf take a shot, even at the cost of his own soldiers' lives. The general refuses to kill his own, so Shen kills Wolf and fires the cannon himself. The heroes are defeated, shell-shocked and scattered around the harbor, while Po is miraculously saved by Tigress, who covers him. It would seem that the battle ended far from in favor of the forces of good, and Lord Shen laughs gloatingly. Po does not give up, however, and stands up, showing his willingness to continue the fight. Shen orders to shoot at the panda, and then a miracle happens. Thanks to his inner peace, Po, to the amazement of all the witnesses, literally grabs the sparkling core with his hands and throws it into the water, at the order of Shen, already openly frightened. "Kill him! Somebody kill him!" His fleet continues to bombard Po, but the dragon warrior dodges the nukes, throws them into the water, and then begins to destroy Shen's fleet with intercepted nukes. He manages to throw the last cannon into the cannon of the flagship, carrying Lord Shen himself. The battle ends, Shen's fleet perishes, and the possibility of conquering China is put to an end. After coming to his senses, a shocked peacock asks Po how he found inner peace after he stripped him of his parents and everything he held dear, scarring him for life. The magnanimous dragon warrior explains to his nemesis that scars heal, and the past is not so important. What matters is the choice of who you want to be now. In response, Shen says, "You're right. Then I choose this," and attacks Po, attempting to stab him with his steel feathers. The duel ends with the exploding cannon collapsing. The hero manages to escape, but the villain dies, and dies with dignity. When he saw the cannon falling on him, Shen did not run or chicken out, but simply closed his eyes and humbly accepted death. The people of Gongmen and Po's friends celebrate his victory over Shen. Tigress recognizes Po's armor, and Shifu notes that Po has managed to find inner peace at such a young age. Po returns home to Mr. Ping's house. He has visitors, a mother and son from the pig family, who are anxious to see the dragon warrior and ask when he will return. Worried about his adopted son, Mr. Ping confesses that he doesn't know, perhaps never, and reveals the depth of his worries. At that moment, Po appears on the doorstep. A happy Mr. Ping hugs Po and congratulates him on saving China. Po says that he has learned about where he came from and who he is, answering his question with, "I am your son," after which he hugs Mr. Ping and says, "I love you, Daddy." A heartbroken Mr. Ping, in tears, says he loves his son too. The joyful family proceeds to their work of noodle making. Then comes the conclusion that sets the stage for the third part. The action moves to a remote village of surviving pandas, and we are shown that Po's birth father has actually survived. And, as it turns out in the third part, thanks to a message from the universe sent from the beyond by Master Oogway, has learned that his son is alive. The credits then begin, symbolically showing how little Po came to be in Mr. Ping's radish crate, how he spent his childhood, and how he began to become a kung fu fanatic. This brings part 2 to a close. In the third chapter, Po faces a number of new challenges. The first of which is Master Shifu announcing his retirement and appointing the Dragon Warrior as the new teacher of the Unstoppable Five. But the first training session Po had with the Five turned out to be a complete failure and covered the new teacher's head in shame. A frustrated Po asks Shifu why he did this to him, giving him an impossible task. Shifu replies that in order to grow above himself, he needs to take on things he doesn't know how to do yet. And this is necessary to answer the question, "Who am I?" Shifu points out that Po still doesn't know who he is. "I am the Dragon Warrior. And what does it mean to be a Dragon Warrior?" The master tells his apprentice that getting the answer to this question will give him the ability to master the power of Qi, which can do real miracles. Qi is needed to deal with another threat, a new villain, General Kai. Kai was a brother-in-arms and best friend of Master Oogway several centuries ago, with whom they fought shoulder to shoulder. In one of the battles, Oogway was badly wounded, and Kai carried his comrade to a village of pandas, who were able to heal the master thanks to their mastery of the power of Qi. However, Kai decided to seize all the Qi power available and take it away from the pandas. Oogway had to confront his comrade who had fallen into darkness, and as a result, Oogway sent Kai to the spirit world. But even in the spirit world, Kai did not rest. Being obsessed with revenge against Oogway, he proceeded to take chi from deceased kung fu masters, enslaving their souls and turning them into the hideous jade zombies that make up his army. By the time of the action, he defeats the deceased Oogway in a duel in the spirit world, and returns to the world of the living, full of intent to complete his appropriation of the chi of the remaining masters. And only a true chi master could stop Kai. And just on the eve of such a crisis, Po has a sudden change in his personal life. As already mentioned, at the end of Part 2, Po's real father, Li Shan, received a message from Master Oogway and went in search of his lost son. Now, he finally finds him. A happy reunion takes place, followed by the first fight with Kai's Nephrombi. Upon learning about Kai, a worried Li Shan suggests that Po travel with him to a lost panda village, offering to teach his son the power of chi there. In reality, Li is just very afraid of losing his son a second time. Despite Mr. Ping's objections, Po's adoptive father is not happy to have a competitor who can take his son away from him. Po agrees to Li's proposal. Mr. Ping secretly follows them. Li Shan brings Po to his village, where the dragon warrior meets a whole host of relatives. There are kids who love to eat, and a little girl, enchanted by his figure of tigress stripes, and a gorgeous dancer with a ribbon. In short, Po's life is fun, except that he is no closer to mastering the power of chi, and he needs it more than ever. Kai has taken chi from all the kung fu masters in all of China, including Master Shifu, and almost all of the Unstoppable Five. Only Tigress has escaped. In the process, the villain destroys the Jade Palace. When Tigress arrives at the Panda village and reports what has happened, the village panics and Po desperately asks his father to finally teach him the power of chi. Li Shan, after unsuccessfully trying to talk himself out of it, finally confesses he doesn't know the secret of chi. Although pandas once did possess the art of chi, by now they have already lost it. Li Shan confesses that he just wanted to save his son from the threat so as not to lose him again. To this, Po replies, already lost him, making it clear that he seriously resents his father for deceiving him. A distraught Li Shan is comforted by Mr. Ping. The former rivals are reconciled by the realization that Po needs them both. Meanwhile, Po is desperately trying to train for his duel with Kai. Tigress says that practicing in vain won't help, to which Po explains his plan to sneak up on Kai unnoticed and use Wuxi's finger grip on him. Tigress argues that Kai has an army of jade zombies that serve as his eyes, so there's no way to sneak up on him unnoticed. Po is given hope by Li Shan, Ping, and the pandas, who say that Po will have a chance if he has fighters too. When Li Shan says, "You will make us you," Po suddenly realizes the meaning of Master Shifu's words. "I don't have to make you me, I have to make you you." Po tells his father that he and Ping and the pandas don't need to become Po. They need to be themselves to discover their individuality. It is in this vein that he trains them, and when Kai finally arrives at the village, Po conducts a successful battle. The pandas successfully defeat Kai's army of non-frumbies. Unfortunately, Po, who had managed to train his companions, made a mistake himself. When the plan seemed to have come to fruition, and the hero prepared to send the villain back to the spirit world with the Wuxi finger grip, it suddenly failed to work. After Po's several failed attempts to apply the Wuxi grip, Kai first grunted for a few seconds for laughs, and then gloatingly explained to Po that the Wuxi grip only works on mortals, and he was a spirit world warrior. Po loses the battle, Kai infiltrates the village and prepares to take chi from the remaining pandas. It seems hopeless, but the villain unintentionally gives the desperate Po an idea by calling him mortal. Although Po can't use Wuxi's finger grab on Kai himself, he can use it on himself and go to the spirit world himself and take Kai away by grabbing him during the grab. So Po does. Both end up in the spirit world and Kai is furious. The worried villagers wonder, he saved us, but who will save him? Li Shan suggests that they still try to use the power of chi, the secret of which turns out to be the realization of their uniqueness. Thanks to chi, the pandas, together with Ping and Tigress, save Po, whose soul is almost enslaved by Kai. Po finally realizes his identity and possesses chi in the form of a yellow transparent dragon. Po defeats Kai in the fight, and then responds to his intention to take his chi by saying, "You want my chi? Then take it." Kai finds himself literally overflowing with chi, can't take it, and explodes, disappearing even into the spirit world. After his victory, Po was met by Master Oogway, who praised the hero for growing up and told him both his message and why he had chosen Po to be the Dragon Warrior. When he appeared, Oogway saw in him someone who could unite the past and future of Kung Fu, symbolically embodying yin and yang. Master Oogway called Po his true successor and symbolically handed him his staff. After the conversation, the panda was able to return to the world of the living, where he was greeted by his jubilant friends. The cartoon ends with a scene of all the heroes training under Po's tutelage and learning the power of chi. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.